Today we're busting myths in Rainbow Six Siege and specifically patch 3.3. So myth number 1 is, it's possible to go under a Kapkan trap without setting it off. So for the first test we had the Kapkan trap set quite high, and you can see I can easily get under it without setting it off at all. But for the second attempt we set it to just above its lowest position, and we had Pyrites with Montang go under, and we can see that it does not get set off. So you certainly can go under the traps, so that is confirmed. One jammer can protect 2 wall panels from breaching charges. So this is with the updated range, and we can see the jammer still is not capable of jamming 2 full wall panels. You're still going to need 2 jammers to do 2 walls. And let's do a little test to see how close we can actually get it. So you can see here the range of the jammer. We can see that it easily reaches almost to the opposite side. So I go, what about that, Pirates? Try there. So that is well within the jammer range. This should definitely be jammed, you would think, anyway, if that circle graphic is anything to go by. And no. So really the range boost is not that great. It's not that much more than it was, and it's still kind of rubbish. So that is busted. With Montang's shield fully extended, it will protect you from a Kapkan trap. So here we got it set up on a double door. And I lose 40 health. So that seems quite good, right? So let's try doing it again, this time with no shield extended and with no shield at all, and see how much damage we take. So the same idea. We're going to try going in. I've got 60 health left. I take less damage this time with no shield out. So unfortunately it appears that the mountain shield does not protect them. Here we go, we've got it set up. Pirates is going to try it at the closest point this time. And again, the shield does not protect them. I'm going to try a single door this time, and at the furthest point away from the explosive, and it still kills me. So the actual shield does not dampen the destruction of the explosion at all. It makes no difference, so that is busted. You can be killed meleeing through a door with a Kapkan on the other side. So we've got a Kapkan trap set up on the other side of this door. So first of all, I'm just going to try and press my body up against it and kind of move around, try and clip through and actually detonate the trip mine. I'm not having any luck, so I'm going to melee it, and then I'm going to melee straight into the actual laser. And it goes off. So let's reset, and this time I will melee the door, but I won't melee any air. I'll always hit the door and see how it goes. So, gonna melee the center, gonna melee the right hand side, the furthest away from the trap, and then I'm gonna melee the left hand side. Boom! I touch the laser and get myself killed. And you can see that from the death cam perspective as well. Now, what about not even hitting the actual door at all? What if you're like prone next to a door and you're wiggling around like Pyrite says here? You can totally get yourself killed through it. So you certainly can be killed by a Kapkan trap by meleeing the door or being up against it in a bad position where you clip through. So that is confirmed. The jamming field created by mute jammers is a sphere. So this was a ton of testing to figure out how the shape of the jammer was. So we used the new map border, because that way we could actually jam it in different ways and kind of get an idea of what shape this jamming field actually is. So we got him jammed when he was on that. We're now going to try a little bit higher. And you can see he got jammed, and that's from the jammer that's in the metal detector on the bottom. So I pick it up to free him again, and he gets to move, and we're going to try and put him on the tallest part of the metal detector and see if he gets jammed up there as well. A good little jump there, made it up. So put the jammer down, and he is not jammed. But you see, if you watch his drone, he slightly drops down, and that's him jammed. So that's the maximum height of the jammer right there. But it doesn't really show if it's a sphere or a cylinder or what. So a few more tests. So let's see if there's any actual jamming field under the jammer. So he gets through completely fine there, not jammed at all. So I go outside and put it on top of a car, and we have Pyrite drive up the windscreen to see how far he can get before he gets jammed. And we can see there's a little bit of jamming field under the jammer then, which is quite interesting. But it's not looking like it's a sphere. So now we've got this bit, and this bit's great because we can kind of use it like a grid system to measure the different widths of the jammer. So it looks as if he should pretty much just be jammed as soon as he moves forward here. And he gets quite a bit further forward and then he's jammed. So we're going to test that a little bit lower, see if the field changes at all. Because if it's a sphere, it should be wider as it gets lower and lower. Like maybe it's half a sphere. So let's see where he can get to this thing. So he gets jammed at the same point again. So let's try lower. So right now it's starting to look like it's a cylinder of our jam effect and not a sphere. So it should be about midway through that shelf he should get jammed. And yes, jammed again. So it is looking like the effect is a cylinder. And let's try him on ground level just to make sure there's not any difference. So again, he should get about half of that. It looks like he should be jammed by quite a bit. So it's busted. It's definitely not a sphere. It is a cylinder. So it is possible to jump over a mute jammer with a drone. So with some expert driving here, you can see that Pyrite is easily able to jump over that jammer. It's all a matter of just getting it right. And he even gets it on the way back as well. So you can see that it's not really jamming that far. It's going about as far as here. That's the field. So really it's actually very easy to jump. I just take a bit of practice and you'll get it right. So it's confirmed you can still jump over. You can destroy a Kapkan trap from the other side of the door with a melee attack. So this is actually meleeing through the door and taking out the Kapkan with a melee strike. And Pyrite shows that it can be done. He did it first time, which was amazing. So I'll put another one up just to see if we can do it without the wood in the way. And he's successful again. He does not get himself killed. He's actually able to take out the trap with a melee. So that is confirmed. So if you want to look cool, you should do it that way. The patch notes for version 3.3 regarding Mute's jammer range are incorrect. So this is a myth that's come about by me testing the other myths we've already seen. So first of all, I'm going to figure out where that red circle says that it should get jammed. So I'm going to mark that. So right there. And then let's double check that that is indeed the case. Okay, that's definitely the right plank of wood that I shot at. So let's get Pyrite over here and let's have him drive a drone. And it should get jammed at that bullet hole if the red circle is correct. And he gets well past it before he gets jammed. So let's put a hole in here to mark that. So now we need to figure out if there's a difference between the range of a drone getting jammed and a breaching charge or a cluster charge. So we're going to pick up the drone and replace it with a cluster charge. And then get Pyrite to detonate that. So we need to actually get him back over by me so that he's nowhere near that jammer. And have him set it off. Interestingly, I don't actually get any points for jamming this, which is curious. But it is jammed. He cannot detonate it. So that's at the same range as the drone. So let's pick that up and slightly move it out and see if there is a difference between drone jamming and charge jamming. So it's slightly further out now. Let's see if it goes off. It does. Okay, so that is the maximum range that you can jam anything with a jammer. So the official patch notes say before the update it was set to 1.5 meters of radius, and with patch 3.3 it is now set to 2.25 meters. That doesn't seem to be correct. And let's just have a look at a couple of diagrams I made. So here is the 1.5 meter radius. You can almost fit a 6 foot tall person in that. Their head will poke out, but that, it's pretty big. And then this is what apparently a 2.25 meter radius would be with a 6 foot tall person. You'd be able to completely fit a 6 foot tall person in that radius. That doesn't seem likely with what we can see in game. So this is Fuse standing next to the jammer, and you can see that definitely doesn't look like a 6 foot gap between him and the drone. So let's have a look. Put him on his side. Let's say that he's 5'9" in the game. All operators are the same height, so we can't be sure. Now, if we look at a diagram of what the patch note says is the old size, which is 1.5 meter radius, that very much matches up with Fuse lying on his side. And I think these are actually the correct patch notes. So I've corrected them. I think it's before the update it was set to 1.5 meters diameter, and with patch 3.3 it is now set to 2.25 meters. Let's look at a diagram of what 2.25 meters would look like diameter wise with a 6 foot tall person coming out from the center. I think that matches up very closely with Fuse here. Now I think if Fuse was 6 feet tall, I think we'd be damn close to this diagram. Now, certainly the red circle that it shows in game is just completely and utterly off. It is wrong and it should get fixed because it's nowhere near the actual jamming range. And I'm going to say that this myth is confirmed that the patch notes are wrong, but without access to the actual game engine to be able to confirm that. Like, I don't have access to any of the actual figures in game, so everything I've done here is kind of testing with what I have available. And I'm going to say that I believe it is confirmed, but I can't be entirely sure. I think that the way Mute should be buffed in order for him to be played more by players is not that his jammer was actually that good or bad. I think it's always been actually a pretty good gadget. I think his weaponry is the problem. Like, the reason I don't play Mute is because his guns are the worst out of all the defenders. I think if his MP5 was brought up to the level of, say, Valkyrie's SMG, then I think you'd be talking. Like, I think more people would be taking Mute if that was the case. So that's the buff I think Mute should get, and I think people would play him more for. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I will catch you next time.